I believe that we're all divided, particularly in regards to what it takes to create a more abundant life, to create more prosperity, more wealth, in relation to financial wealth. Some people believe that you have to earn more. I have a different philosophy. I have a different belief system. Now, I believe that for you to become really good at being able to debate any topic or area of life, you must be able to defend or debate on either side. Now, as a matter of fact, if you've ever been in a debating team, one of the things or qualities you must have before you go out to a debate is you must be able to hold both ideas in the mind. You see, the sign of first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the brain at the same time and still retain the ability to function. Now, I always say that life is like a coin, and every coin has three sides, not two sides, three sides. On one side is what we call the heads. On the second side is what we call the tail. Now, we all have what we call higher faculties. Now, higher faculties are the likes of imagination, intuition, perception, will, reason, and memory. Every one of us has these higher faculties. We also have five senses: smell, sight, smell, taste, touch, sound. Perception deals with how we see things, perspective. For many people, they see life as one side. Now, I was born in West Africa, and before I had the great and unique opportunity of coming to the Western world and traveling all around the world, I had a belief system. I had a philosophy about life. And my philosophy about life was really something I inherited from all the people around me. From my parents, from my parents' parents, from my grandfathers, from the community. Now, I usually say that there are about 5 things that will affect you in life: the relationships you have around you, the environment you're in, the events in your life and your experiences, your dreams and goals, but more importantly, your self-image. And having been born and raised in a part of Africa, I had a view of the world. I had a picture. I saw the world in a certain way. It was limited, but the reason it was limited was because I was standing on one side. I hadn't seen the other side. For a lot more of years, most people said that it was impossible for anyone to run a 4-minute mile. Roger Bannister came along in the spring of 1954, and he debunked that myth. And ever since then, most people have run the 4-minute mile, and they do that on a regular basis every weekend. And it was because simply one person had gone across that side of the fence that most people said had nothing in it. Now, the point I'm trying to make is this: intelligence is found in being able to stand on the edge and look at both sides. Now, I started by saying that most people think you have to earn more to become wealthy. Some play by a different sort of belief system. There are 2 ways to create wealth, in my opinion. There are 2 ways. Now, understand that wealth is like a game. Making money is really a game. Now, if it's a game, then you must know the rules. Every game has rules. Unfortunately, some people do not understand that they're playing the game of money. For so many years, I didn't realize that I was playing the game of money. And I look back now and I smile and I say, I really was like an amateur playing a game against professionals. I was always going to lose, and I always lost. The key thing is to learn the rules of the game, understand the vocabulary of the game so that as you play to win. You play to win. Now think about this. Do you realize that you can be such a great player playing football? You play for 90 minutes all around the field, but you don't really know that to win, you've got to hit the ball past the post. So you run around for so long, and at the end you're exhausted. But the scoreboard sits there and it says you failed. Reason? The scoreboard never lies. You played without understanding the rules. Now there are two ways you can play this game of money. You can play offense, what I call offensive, or you can play defense, or what I call defensive. My recommendation is if you want to play the game of money and winning, you've got to play both. However, you've got to start somewhere. Now, having been raised poor and having been raised without much financial education, and I'm going to qualify that, you can be academically intelligent. You might have a great IQ, high IQ. You could be professionally competent, meaning you're great in your job, but you can still be financially ignorant. And that is what I'm dealing with. Financial ignorance is the problem, is the cause of many of the problems we have in the world today. There's poverty in the world as a result of lack of wisdom, lack of financial understanding, not education, because education is simply information. Understanding goes beyond just having information. My recommendation is this: just like the coin, stand on the side and don't just play offensive or play defensive. Now, here is my view. I've stood on both sides. I've tried the poor side and I've tried the wealthy side, and here is my view. Now, this is subjective. Obviously, make the right decisions for you. All I'm simply saying is be intelligent and be smart. Stand on the edge so you can look at both sides and decide which is best for you. For a number of years, I had very poor financial IQ, meaning I had very low financial intelligence. I lacked financial wisdom. I didn't have it. And I had the mindset that all I had to do was make more money. For a number of years, I tried that and I failed. Why? Because of the word habits. My habits created what I call paradigms. And these habits created a lifestyle. And this lifestyle controlled my financial destiny. But it all started from habits. One of the habits I had was that I always spent more than I earned. I was always in debt. I always had expenses that were greater than my income. And this is what happens to a lot of people. Now, we live in what I call a consumer type society now, where we have credit cards and we just simply charge. And we also have bank accounts now where we can have, it's possible to get to zero and keep going beyond zero because the bank have provided what they call overdrafts. So, you could have an overdraft of £1,000, meaning you have nothing, but the bank allows you to spend an extra 1,000 in credit. And for so many years, I did that. But I had very poor financial IQ. As I increased my financial understanding, I started to recognize the purpose of money, the intent, the use. And I started to make changes to my lifestyle. I started to change my habits. And I got myself to a point where my expenses was no greater than my income. Now, to go from there to there took a huge leap because habits are difficult to break and are difficult to form. But through study, dedication, persistence, and through a vision I had of financial freedom, I eventually got myself to a point where my expenses became less than my income. Now, why is this important? Now, this is all important, reason being because one of the most important things about wealth is you've got to understand that there's a formula for wealth. The formula for wealth is simply E minus I minus S minus S. That's the formula for wealth. The formula for poverty, on the other hand, is simply P equals E minus S minus S. What does this all mean? You might be thinking, what does it all mean? Who cares? Well, here it is. The E stands for what you earn. Poor people earn, but the first thing they do after they earn is they spend. I used to be there before. What I did was I spent more than I earned, so I had nothing to save. If you spend after you earn, you have no option but to save what's left. If you have nothing, then you save nothing. The wealthy, on the other hand, earn the same amount of money, but the first thing they do is they invest. And once they've invested, they spend. But they don't spend to finish, they spend to create a surplus so that they can reinvest. So they save whatever is left. The key here is, what do you do after you earn? So for people to say, well, you just have to earn more, understand that it's not what you earn that makes you wealthy. Because making more money makes no difference if you have poor habits. It's what you do with what you earn. What is the first activity that occurs after you earn? And so that brings me back to what we started with. Should we play defensive? Should we play offensive? In a single word, here it is. If you have financial education, in other words, if you're financially wise, if you have wisdom, financial wisdom, you should play offense. If you lack financial understanding or education, you should play defense first. And with time, you can start playing offense. Now, why is this important? Here it is in a nutshell. Very simple, very profound, very simple, very profound. Now, I said that twice, wasn't a mistake, just so you understand. To play offense, you must understand, you must have an appreciation for money. There are rules of money. To understand the rules of making money, you must also know the laws of making money. To understand the laws of making money, you must understand that there are beliefs of making money, of wealth. But there are philosophies of making money. And each of these are very important. To play offensive, you must understand what we call active income, passive income. Most people are trying to earn more money working for active income, which is rather sad. Active income means income you generate from a job, salary, tips, bonuses, commissions. Unfortunately, it's what we call unleveraged income. For many people, it's what we call single point of failure, meaning if you become ill, you stop earning. If you lose your job or if you're fired, you stop earning. For example, if the company decides to sell, you stop earning. But in addition to this, it's also the income with the highest level of tax. So you're really working for the government. The more harder you work, the more the government takes. Passive income, on the other hand, is income created through the use of what we call leverage. Meaning, the income is passive, the activity is leveraged. With active income, the income is active, the activity is active, meaning you have to invest time, energy, effort, and your presence. With passive income, you have to use leverage. Other people's money, other people's time, other people's experiences, other people's knowledge and wisdom. And you don't have to invest your most important gift, which is your time, because you're using other people's leverage. To play offensive, you've got to understand income. But also, to play offensive, what the wealthy do not teach people is that they make more money because they understand taxes and they understand debts. Good debt. Other words, investment debt. Now, what is this? Investment debt is simply debts that you get into to create more wealth. You use the debt to buy assets. Those assets appreciate in value and they create an income flow to you. The poor, on the other hand, buy what we call personal. They get into personal debt. Unlike the wealthy buy investments, the poor buy liabilities. Those liabilities depreciate in value and they create an expense. So you've got to understand debts and how to use debt leverage. I talked about OPM. OPM is leverage. It's not debt, but it's leverage. By debt, it could be debt from a bank or it could be debt from a lending society. OPM covers debts, but also OPM covers equity from other people. Taxes is also an advantage. You've got to know how taxes work. Now think about this. Someone working for active income can pay in London up to 45% tax. You're in the 45% tax bracket if you're earning above £90,000. On the other hand, someone who owns the company and who employs you, and that person could be paying you £90,000 every year, but they could be making £1 million and they pay 0% tax because they understand the tax system and because they are trading as a business. So you see, to play offense and really succeed, it comes down to one word: wisdom. And wisdom helps you formulate good habits. Now, this is what the ancient book says. This is what the ancient book says, a wise book says. It says simply, if you're faithful in little things, then you will be made ruler over much. Life will only give you what you can manage. I'm going to say that again because I think it's really powerful. Life does not really care about what you want or what you need. Life only gives you what you can manage. Those who are faithful in managing small things will always become great. As a matter of fact, the master teacher was asked, how can we become the greatest? And his reply was very simple. If you want to become the greatest, you've got to become the servant. You've got to go down to the lowest and serve your way up. So you see, you only play offense when you've started to develop good financial understanding. By offense, I mean creating more, earn more. Because earning more is only advantageous if you know what to do with it. I started on the opposite side. I started defense. Now, defense is important. Part of the reason defense is important is simply because by playing defense, it allows you to become responsible. It allows you to become responsible. Simply, imagine this to be me. Anyone playing offense, as an employee is at a disadvantage. And the reason is very simple. If you work for someone, for a company, for an organization, for an individual, they get to set your limits as to what you can earn. And anything above you sets limits on you. It's a law of life. This simply means that what you earn is dictated by what someone perceives your value to be. Now, another reason why the offensive strategy doesn't work very well for employees is because there are laws that govern how much you earn. One is called the law of compensation. The second is called the law of value. The third is called the law of profit. All three laws have to be in harmony before it works effectively. The law of compensation, according to Earl Nightingale, says that the amount of money you earn will always be in direct proportion to the need for what you do, the difficulty there will be in replacing you, and your ability to do it well. In other words, how good are you at what you do? And how exceptional are you? Because the level of your knowledge, expertise decides whether you're replaceable. And more importantly, says, is what you're doing really relevant? Is it obsolete? Will it be phased out? The law of value simply states that the more problems you solve for people, the more value you create for them. And the more value you create for them, the more they compensate you. Really simple. The law of profit says that every business is in business to make money. Without profit, the business doesn't exist. And therefore, the company's focus, yes, the company wants to serve, yes. Yes, the company wants to make a change in the industry, yes. But without profit, there is no business. Now, in order for you to earn more, you must demonstrate value, you must demonstrate profit. So the company pays you more if you can demonstrate that you're solving more problems, you're doing it in a unique way, you're doing it exceptionally well, you're excelling above everyone else, you're creating value, the value you're creating and the problems you're solving is leading to profit. Now, the company then says, for the profits we're generating, we're happy to pay you some more money. Now, here is the problem. And here is the reason why I recommend playing defense for people who have low or poor financial IQ. All of these are what we call external. You cannot change the company. You cannot change the clients and the customers. You cannot control the seasons. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control the economy. Therefore, all you can do is apply a principle or law called sowing and reaping. Now, sowing and reaping simply says that there is a season to sow, there is a season to reap. Your responsibility is to sow. In due time, the harvest season will come. It says you cannot do both in the same season at the same time. You have to do your part and wait. Now, this means in many cases, it might take you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, 12 months to get yourself to that level of financial position you want to be. But the problem is, if you do not have money, it's simply an indication that you have poor money habits. So the problem is not external, the problem is internal. And therefore, if the problem is internal, what you have to do is work on yourself. Now, the results you have in life are not good and they're not bad, but your thinking makes it so. And that's from Shakespeare. He says, nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So if you're not happy with the results you have, there's one thing you can do. Change it. But to change your results, you've got to realize that you created them. And you don't go about changing the results, because the results are what we call effects. You change the causes. You don't change the symptoms. A lack of money is simply a symptom. You change the problem. The problem is the individual. Me, I am the problem. Now, if I am the problem, then I am the solution. How do I bring about a solution? I go to work on myself. So that means play defense. How? You have to start learning how to be a good money manager. You've got to increase your financial understanding and wisdom. You've got to recreate a wealthy person's lifestyle and habits. You've got to change your paradigms. You've got to reconstruct your self-image. You've got to change yourself. By changing yourself, the results on the outside change. Now, by playing defense, you're simply saying, learn to live on less than you earn. Most people are poor because they spend more than they earn. I know this. I did this for so long. So I understand the impact. If you spend more than you earn, you will stay poor. But how do you go from being in a place of poverty to being wealthy? You have to become what we call a compulsive investor, not a saver. Remember what I gave you the equation. The wealthy don't save, they invest. To become a wealthy investor, you must have seed to invest. To have seed to invest, you must discipline yourself to live on less than you earn. Meaning, you got to work on yourself. Now, by playing defense, it means look at your habits. Look at how you spend money. Look at what you do every day. Look through your lifestyle. Now, what I found in my case and in my life when I did this was I found that the reason I was spending more than I earned was because my expenses were split into two parts. There were what I call necessities, and there was what I call wants. Necessities, housing, basic transportation, clothing, basic feeding. These are necessities, these are things I needed to survive. But there were two parts of my wants. There were necessity wants, such as investing in my personal development, studying, going to seminars, reading. That's important. Necessity wants, holidays with loved ones, basic entertainment, so that I could feel as though I was still alive. But I had what we call luxury wants. All of the accessories that I bought, liabilities, not assets, liabilities. And these liabilities created an expense every month. The cars, the equipment, the gadgets, the things that didn't increase my net worth, they depreciated in value, and they cost me money every month. So I made a decision. I was going to keep my necessities. I was going to keep my necessity wants, but I was going to eliminate temporarily a lot of my luxury wants because I couldn't afford them. By eliminating this, it meant that my expenses became less than my income. So I could now begin to save 10% of what I earned. Therefore, I became an investor because the first thing I did every month was invest. That is how you create wealth. Now, once you've started to formulate this habit, you must discipline yourself to do it for 100 days. Because after 100 days, it becomes locked into your subconscious. It becomes a habit. You've now developed a good habit. You can now start to play offense. There's no need you earning more if you're going to spend it all. You've got to be diligent, become a good money manager. Now, I believe that everything that I have and everything that I've created, everything that I own, by rights, is God's creation. I'm simply a steward. I'm a steward of God's creation. I came into the world with nothing. When my time is up, I'm going to leave with nothing. So whatever I accumulate in this life, my responsibility is to become the best that I can be, create opportunities for other people, and find a way to pass on whatever wealth or fortune I've created to other people so that they can enjoy the journey of life. That is my responsibility. The money itself doesn't make me happy, but by creating experiences for other people, I find joy by making people happy. Now, many people say money will make you happy, but that's really, not really intelligent in itself, because money is not there to make you happy. Money is there to create you with an environment of comfort. If you're comfortable, then you can do the first thing that we're all meant to be doing, which is to use our imagination to create. The more we create greater ideas that generate more money. And I believe one of the core reasons for money is to create experiences for other people. Now, you do that for yourself too, but the joy comes from the relationships you forge and form for other people. Now, the point I'm making with this is simple. And I'm going to draw this to a conclusion here by making a statement. The coin. This is offense. This is defense. Neither of these are more superior to each other. It's all about perspective. Neither of them is better than the other. It's all about perspective. So you have to be the one who gets to look and decide what's right. My recommendations is simply a result of me coming from a poor African background, having come to the West, having gone into debts because I didn't have wisdom, I didn't have financial education, having come from Africa. And then slowly I started to study successful people. And as I studied them, I started to change my habits. And as I changed my habits and I saw remarkable results, I started to understand that it wasn't money that was the problem. That earning more, in many cases for me, was really more of a curse than a blessing. Because the more I earned more, the more my expenses went up, the more I went more into debt. Because I now developed this new lifestyle of, I've got to maintain this keeping up with the Joneses status quo. And I started to learn more about finances and education. And I started to realize that really, this is my life. And I have to be a good steward of this life. And I have to be a good steward of everything that comes within my possession, including money. So you can play defense, you can play offense. My recommendation is play both. If you're poor, you have to start understanding the defensive strategy because your habits are probably keeping you poor. It's not a result. Most people say, I don't have resources, I don't have capital. It's not a lack of resources, it's really a lack of resourcefulness. Meaning, it's not money. You have everything you need within you to become the best you can be. You got a brain with 1 billion cells, 1 billion brain cells. You got a heart to help you regulate your emotions and make the right decisions. You got a mind which is considered the greatest power in all of the world. You can create anything you want through your thoughts. It's powerful. In addition to that, you have a conscience to guide you when you're about to make a wrong decision. You have a body to support you, to allow your mind dream the dreams, your heart regulate the decisions, and then your body supports that vision. You have all the wisdom of the world in 7,000 years of recorded history, examples and warnings. You have role models today. In 2017, we have 2,000 billionaires. You can learn from all of them. You can learn from all the millionaires who are around. You can learn from the happy, successful people. In addition to this, you have the power of choice, meaning you can choose today to change your destiny. All you have to do is make a decision. And then you have a potential that is unlimited. So it's not a case of resources. You have all the resources within you. It's a lack of resourcefulness. Now, if you want to play defense, start playing defense, but at the same time, start thinking about offense. But my recommendation is this. If you're trying to play offense as an employee, you don't stand a chance. You always stay poor. You always stay poor because wealth is not created by working for money. Wealth is created by having money work for you. If you're playing the game of earning more as an employee, you're always going to get active income. Active income will only increase your wealth incrementally. Passive income, which is income from multiple sources of and leverage sources, will increase your wealth exponentially. What's the difference? Incremental increase is like making additions. Exponential increase is like multiplying. So if you want to be wealthy, play offense, but play offense not as an employee. Play offense as an investor or a large business owner, as an entrepreneur, using wisdom. and at the same time play defense by having good money habits and by learning to live on less than you earn and invest the rest. I hope that's been useful. I want to thank you for your time. I wish you the best of luck, whatever you might do. God bless.